Okay, so today we're dividing, so tomorrow we'll take the same 12-point vocab quiz we did today with all those same words, but we'll grow by 3 words. So if we go to divide, divide can be written with this box, divide can be written with that symbol. Does anybody know what any of the divide words are? Either the inside number, the outside number, the answer, or if you like to write it this way, first number, second number, answer. Anybody know anything about divide?
Is one the dividend?
One of them is the dividend. That is true. The question is where we want to put the dividend compared to things. Anybody have a thought on where the dividend is going? In, out, answer, first, second, answer. Which one's the dividend? Anybody confident? Or anybody brave, willing to make a guess? It's a 1 out of 3 shot, I guess, even if you're guessing. It is the one on the inside. So dividend, there's a D at the end of that. We've had several words that end in end, so make sure dividend, you end with end. What are some other words that ended with end that we've had day by day by day here?
Add-in.
Add-end,
Minuend.
minuend,
Subtractend.
close,
Subtractend.
subtra,
Also.
hen, divid, and they end with and pretty much every day we've had, it seems like. But dividend is in. What if we wrote it this way? Anybody know which one's the dividend now if I want to write the problem that way?
The one to the right.
One to the left. When you go box style versus this symbol style, it like swaps the order. So if I wanted to write this with this symbol, this one's going to be the, just yell, the 297 there, the 4 there, if we write it with that style. The other words, anybody have a theory on that? This one's another D word.
Divisor?
It is the divisor. And then let me look up how exactly I phrased the question for you on the quiz. When I refer to the divisor, I'm going to refer to that as the one doing the dividing. Like, I have 297 pencils, I'm going to divide it by 4 people in piles. The number doing the dividing, I'm going to refer to that as the divisor. The dividend, I'll call the number that gets divided. So if I had 297 pencils in a pile, that's getting divided. That's the dividend. It gets divided. The divisor, like, divides it. So that's how I'll phrase those. Answer, anybody? It's the toughest word to spell that we probably have had. Maybe, it's up there with minuend, subtrahend, I would guess. It's also a weird word because it starts with a Q.
Quotient.
That's close, yeah, quotient, Q-U-O-T-I-E-N-T. It spells like the word patient a lot. If you know how to spell patient, it has the same ending, quotient and patient. But Q-U-O, shouldn't. So the quotient is in there. Question about the words? I don't have an extra word. Like for add, what were our extra words? There were 2 of them that showed in a story to add.
More increase.
More and increase. What were our 2 subtract words?
Less and decrease.
Less and decrease. What was the one weird multiply word?
Of.
Of. I don't have a word like that. Divide. There just isn't anything like that. It's probably just too common sensey, like separated or something like that. Just synonyms for divide. But when you go to divide, let's divide this on out. The first thing you should ask yourself here is, can 4 go into 2? And that answer is No, 2 is too small. 4 can't go into 2, so you don't put anything above the 2. You just leave an empty space there. And then you move down. Can 4 go into 29 is a yes. So for Price is Right fans, if people still watch that game show, you don't want to go over. You want to get as close as you can to 29 with your 4s, but not go over. So if you know your times table super well, it speeds up dividing. If you don't know your times tables, you bust out your fingers and you're like 4, 8, 12, you know, you just count. What's the closest you can get with 4s to land just short of 29?
28.
28. How many 4s does it take to do that?
Pretty sure it's 7.
It is 7. So we go 7 above the 9 and 29, and 4 times 7 makes 28. And then what do?
Subtract.
Subtract. Dividing's the opposite of multiplying. Multiplying's kind of like a cheap way to add. Add's the opposite of subtract, so it kind of makes sense. When you multiply, it makes you add things. Dividing makes you subtract things as you want. But we subtract this, we got a 1. This just drops down. Some teachers I know in the world will make you like draw an arrow to drop it down. I don't care about that. Some people might make you put a 0. I don't care about that. We just need to drop this out. And then we go again. Can 4 go 4 into 17? You know, count by 4s. What's the closest you can get to 17?
4 times 4.
4 times 4, so we'll go 4 above the 7. Makes
16.
16. Gets us
1.
1. And over the course of the year when we get there, there's going to be 3 choices of what we do about that. Today we're going to just go with the easiest choice. Does anybody know a thing that we can do when, like, we're done dividing now? 4 can't go into 1, 1's too little, like, we're done.
Don't we put a little R at the end of the question?
I'd put a little R that stands for the word
Remainder.
Remainder. There's a remainder of 1. We're not going to do this today, but there's 2 other things we could do. Today we're just going to write the R's for remainders. Anybody know another thing you can do?
You could turn it into a fraction.
We could turn that into a fraction. There's a way to turn that into a fraction. We'll do that another day. What's another thing we can do? Rita? If you can make stuff fractions, you can also probably make it
Oh, decimal.
decimal. So there's a way to make this decimal. We'll do that another day. That's not our concern for today. Question about this: if I give you a single digit divisor, you're probably pretty happy about seeing a single digit divisor. Something there. Some people get freaked out if they see a double digit divisor. So I'm going to try to convince you, don't get freaked out if you see a double digit divisor. If you see a double digit divisor, just round. 38 is pretty close to 40. It's closer to 40 than 30, so round to the nearest 10. 38 is close to 40. So think about 40. 40, just ignore the 0, and think about 4. It's not a guarantee, but 38 into 193, I don't think you know your 38 tables the way you know your 4 tables, okay? And I don't think you want to sit here and count by 38s on your fingers the way you maybe didn't mind count by 4 on your fingers. So I would say round to 38 to 40, treat that like a 4. 38 into 193 is probably very much like 4 into 19. Maybe it's right, maybe it's going to be off by 1, but you're going to be pretty close. So if we saw 4 into 19, what would you do for 4 into 19? 4 into 19 would go 4. So I'd throw a 4 there. 38 can't go into 1, so nothing above the 1. 38 can't go into 19, so nothing above the 9. 38 can go into 193, that's just a guess, but maybe we're not going to be right. And then we'll pause. Okay, so then we just need to check and see if what we did was right. So we need to go 38 times 4. So 4 times 8 makes 32. So leave the 2, carry the 3. 4 times 3.
6 or 12.
12, plus that other 3. 15. Subtract. This will make
1.
This will make
4.
Okay. Now remember, we did a little guess round thing at the beginning, and I said maybe we'd be right, maybe we'd be off by 1. So if we're showing 41 here, is that okay
Good.
Or was I off by one?
You were off.
How do you know that we're off by one?
Because that number's bigger than our, divider.
That's bigger than the divisor. You shouldn't be bigger than the divisor, so we need to change that. So it isn't 4, it should have been,
Is it 3?
no, we need this number to be bigger.
Oh, yeah.
So we
5.
gotta go 5, okay? You could remultiply 5 times 38 if you want to and get a replacement number here. Or if you wanna cut a corner, what we just did is reduce this by 38. Like we were showing 41, we just got rid of another 38. So how much is the difference between the 41 we had once we get rid of another 38? Who would be left there?
3.
3. If you didn't understand what I just did, well, don't do that. If I lost you, that's okay. Go 5 times 8 is 40. Carry the 4. 5 times 3 is 15. Throw on that. If we got a 19, we'll add down. We got a 3. And we're round 1. We're good. Something there. Okay. Drop just the 7. We don't need to drop the whole thing yet. Just drop the 7 for a second. Can 38 go into 37?
No.
No. So what do we need to do up here when we can't go in the middle of the column? Zeros. We don't like to lead with those zeros. We just leave those empty. But in the middle of a problem, when you hit a roadblock, you drop a 0 there. Now we're going to use the 4. Okay. 38 to get up to 374. I don't think you want to count 38s on your fingers again. I don't think you want to try to memorize your 38 tables. But just use the thing we used a second ago. 38 is like 40. 40 is like 4. 4 into 37. How much does 4 go into 37?
0.
4 into 37.
Oh. 9.
Probably 9. Maybe we're right. Maybe we're off by 1. Last time we were off by 1. It's more often that you're right, I think, in my life experience. But if we're off by 1, we're off by 1. It's easier to just kind of use the rounding and try it than it is to sit here and try to count by 38s. I would never say, like, try to count by 38s and see what happens. No. I would always round that divisor and only worry about the leading digit once you rounded the thing. But 9 times 8 is
72.
72, so we'll carry 7. 9 times 3,
27.
27, add that 7,
34.
34, subtract that, 32. Can we get 32? Is that legal?
Yes.
Yes, because 32 is less than 38, so we're good. And we're done, we ran out of digits, so now we're gonna say R 32. Something about that. Zeros, there's a trick with zeros for dividing. So trick with zeros for dividing is if you had to do like 300 into 6,000. These both have an ending 0. Ignore them. These still both have an ending 0. Ignore them. Divide 3 into 60. 3 into 60 is going to go 20. Don't put them back on. If they're gone forever. I can't cross this 0 off because it didn't have a friend. Okay, but when the zeros are at the ends of the numbers, you can cross them off with a friend. Divisor, dividend have the same amount of zeros, cross them off. If you did that and the question had a remainder, I'm trying to think what that would do for me. So if I went back here and I'm 40 into 2970 and you ditched those and you did the division, I would have to remember that I ditched some zeros. It would reappear on the remainder then. I'd get a remainder of 10 when I went to do that. So if you ditch the zeros and it divides evenly, you're gold. If you ditch the zeros and a remainder appears, you're going to have to increase the remainder by putting the zeros back on the thing. So if I decided to make this 3,800 and that have a couple zeros, we could ditch those, divide like we did, but when we're done, it would be a 3,200 remainder, which is fine. It's really a big remainder, but it's less than the divisor, so it'd be okay. Question about what's up with that?
Nope.
Okay, so assignment sheet life, what we have for folks, page 8 is the homework page, the usual 1 to 25. The quiz tomorrow grows up to be 15 points, so it's the same 12 plus 3 new ones. If you didn't cover your book yet, throw that on there, cover my book. And that should just about do it.